Travel plans over the last week have been filled with delays and cancellations. I'm looking outside of the window right next to me. There's more snow coming down, and we know that folks on the East Coast especially are getting even more today, and there's always a ripple effect. So the folks at the Points Guy are always looking to help you with some resources to use if your plans do get disrupted. Clint Henderson is joining me now to talk a little bit more about it. Thank you so much for your time.
Got it. You got it.
All right. So, what are some of maybe the worst issues that you've even heard about over the last week?
Well, Chicago's really been the center of the storm, no pun intended, for weather delays, cancellations. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was stuck in Chicago myself with thunderstorms and severe weather. But once the weather really locks in Chicago, it's such a big hub for so many airlines. There's ripple effects across the country. They have recovered a bit today. It's not quite as bad as it had been over the weekend, but we're still seeing some delays and cancellations, so got to watch that weather really carefully.
Yeah, you do, because something in Boston or Atlanta could then have an effect here, and vice versa. We tell people to know your rights for just about everything else. What do we need to know here?
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't have that many rights when it comes to weather. It's considered an act of God, and so the airlines are not required to do much for you. There is a Department of Transportation dashboard where the airlines will have voluntarily said that they would give you hotel rooms and even pay for meals in some cases for severe disruptions. And remember, one of the things passed by the Biden administration was the right to a refund if the airline cancels your flight or if you decide not to take the flight because it's delayed more than 3 hours. So in those cases, if you decide not to travel, you do have the right to a speedy refund within 3 weeks, depending on your form of payment. So keep that in mind. But if things really go sideways, what I tell people these days is have a backup plan. And then if you're seeing an airport, say ORD, is completely locked in with weather, it might be best to just call the airline and say, hey, can I go out tomorrow instead? The airlines are being very flexible with weather situations, especially these days. So keep that in mind as well. It never hurts to ask. And then have that airline app installed on your phone. You can potentially rebook yourself that way for another day, even in severe situations, meltdowns, etc. So keep those things in mind. I use an app called Flighty that I love. It tells me where my plane is coming from, so I can track it 24 hours before the flight. So I like to do that, so I know if the flight's going to make it on time. But the airline apps themselves are getting really good. So the United app in particular is great at showing you weather and things like that that might be impacting your flight.
Yeah, I use the American app, and over the weekend, you get up early for your flight, like the, yeah, hey, take the 5 a.m. flight because it's the one that's going to get
Yeah.
out for the day, and woke up at like 2 a.m. and it's like, your flight's been delayed 5 hours.
Oh
So,
no.
so Flighty, is that, spell that out for us?
It's Flighty. And it's on the App Store. It's very popular right now. And then Flight Radar 24 is another one that I use. It's pretty good. But honestly, if you don't feel like having another app on your phone, if you just Google the airline and your flight number, it will tell you a pretty good idea of if your flight's on time or not. So Google is a sort of all-around tool that I like to use for tracking that. And then know what's going on at your departure airport and your arrival airport. You really want to make sure that you know what conditions are like because last month we saw during the government shutdown huge security lines in Houston, like 5 to 7 hours long. And if I had seen that on social media ahead of time, I would have said, you know what, I'm just not going to go to Houston today. I'm not going to try to fly. I'm going to rebook myself.
So funny you mentioned that because they were going to reroute me through Houston, and I was like, no, I might get stuck. Let's talk about this. You mentioned some of the accommodations that the airlines have, mentioned that they will allow. Do you think that they're getting better with accommodations, or are they getting a little tighter as maybe their margins are tighter?
They've always been pretty tight on providing compensation, but the most persistent customers win. So you have to be your own best advocate these days because they will take care of you if you ask long enough and hard enough. But you and I have seen the huge lines in the airport when things go wrong. Don't wait in those lines. There's almost no point. You might get a hotel voucher, might get 2 hours of sleep eventually, but at that point, I just rebook myself and then ask the airline for compensation later. Now, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but I will try to call them multiple times if I don't get the answer I want the first time. And the other thing I would tell people is make sure you're booking travel with a credit card that offers trip delay and cancellation protections, because
Hmm.
oftentimes they will pay for that hotel room or your Uber or your meal during a long delay and cancellation, provided that you have insurance on that credit card. And you don't have to buy additional insurance. It just comes with booking the trip through that credit card.
Okay, what are some of the cards that do that?
Yeah, I won't go into too many specifics, but Chase and American Express, they all have more premium cards. Bank of America, Citi, all the big banks have travel cards that will offer some kind of minimum protections.
Oh, okay, all right, for delays and cancellations. Did not know
Yeah.
that, and I travel
Yeah, they
quite a
come
bit.
with trip delay and cancellation protection. Now, interestingly, during the government shutdown, we realized that they weren't reimbursing for some of those flights that got messed up.
Uh-uh.
So, your mileage may vary, but with weather, they usually are pretty good at covering.
Okay, all right. So looking forward to the new year. Are there some changes that are on tap for the airlines? And are there some things? I mean, we were talking about that $45 fee for travelers if you don't have your real ID off the top of the show. But are there some other changes that we as travelers should be getting ready for?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is Europe is going to impose something that the UK and the United States already have, which is you need a travel authorization. So there's going to be a whole process, and that's going to roll out at some point in the new year for Europe. It's already in place now for the UK, so you have to pay a small fee and register with the government ahead of the trip. So you can't travel if you haven't done that. So make sure you're aware of that for continental Europe. And then airlines are really changing. So we've seen the slow decline of low-cost carriers and the increasing premiumization of airlines. So, everyone's adding extra legroom seating and, selling more first class seats. But now the low-cost carriers are getting into it too. So we're going to see any day now, we're going to see Frontier start to sell first class on some of its planes. And then already
Oh.
flying on some Southwest planes are some seats with extra legroom. Now, eventually in January, they're going to be selling extra legroom seats, and obviously a lot of changes to their boarding policies and their seat assignment policies. So, yeah, make sure if you're a Southwest flyer, you're aware of that happening now. Right now, though, if you are among the first to board, you can just select those extra legroom seats, which is kind of a nice perk.
Except everyone can't run up to board at the same time anymore.
Exactly, and you're paying usually now to board early,
Yeah.
so they're going to get us one way or another. I'm telling you.
That's kind of how it goes for just about everything. But what are maybe some of your other best tips or strategies for like holiday and winter traveling?
Yeah, so I would say Google Flights can be your best friend. If you don't have a winter trip book or maybe even spring break, it's time to start looking. Set a Google flight alert. So Google has this amazing tool called Google Flights. You can put in your home airport and you can use a map that lets you explore the whole world and it shows you the cheapest places you can go. So if you're open to anywhere, that's a great tool to use. And then if you have a very specific destination in mind, say you're going to go to Cancun for spring break this year, you're doing that trip, you can actually put in the dates and your home airport with the Cancun, and you can set a price alert. So Google will email you if the price drops or if it spikes. And it's a great feature because it'll tell you the price history for that flight to tell you if you're getting a good deal or not. So I'm a big fan of Google Flights. I wrote a whole guide to it at the Points Guy. Big fan of that system. And then subscribe to the Points Guy newsletter. We do all the tips you need for all your travel needs, and we have a daily newsletter that's really good at keeping you up to date with all these policy changes, new airline routes, all kinds of fun stuff
Do you all
at the site.
also do like a tracker for hotel costs?
So we do not track that at the Points Guy, but Google actually has Google Hotels. They all do a similar feature to what I was talking about with flights with Google Hotels. So that's something to keep in mind. Increasingly sophisticated data behind these tools where you can know if you're getting a good deal or not. And of course, my top recommendation is always, use points and miles. Don't be afraid to open a credit card. You get a big sign up bonus. That's how I'm able to travel the world and do it in style because I use points and miles and I'm a smart credit card user. And so if you're not gonna pay off your balances in full, don't get into the game at all. But for those who are very good with their credit, don't be afraid of opening a new credit card.
Yeah, yeah. All good information here. And my producer wanted to also know, like, what if you were going to miss your flight because of the snow?
So if you're going to miss your flight, usually the airline will book you on a new trip. But if your flight, remember, if your flight is canceled, they owe you a refund if you don't take another booking. So say it's snowing in Chicago really bad, you're going to miss a weekend away. At that point you just say it's probably not worth me trying to go a day later and staying one day in my destination. So I'm just going to cancel the trip and get a refund. So you are entitled to a refund in those situations. But if they call it a flat tire rule, so if you just miss your flight because of traffic or snow or whatever the case may be, they will rebook you on the next available flight. They call it the broken tire rule in most cases.
Without a cost?
Without a cost, exactly.
Very interesting. Always love talking to you all. You have wonderful information. Thank you for doing your research and imparting your information with us.
Anytime, anytime.